Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the ABG Investor Days. My name is Alexander Krämer, biotech equity analyst here at ABG. Today I have the pleasure to host the CEO of Cinclus Pharma, Christa Ahlberg. Welcome, Christa, and the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you and good morning, everyone. Today we will talk about Cinclus Pharma. And before starting, going much deeper into the presentation, just a short introduction. Cinclus Pharma, we are a pharmaceutical company focusing on gastric acid-related diseases. Our lead candidate is called linaprazan glurate, and that represents a new mode of action, a new class called PCABs, which is the first innovation since Astra launched Losec or omeprazole in the end of the 80s. We are focusing on the greatest unmet medical need, the severe patients within the indication of E-GERD, erosive GERD, where we have a unique opportunity to meet these unmet medical needs with specific advantages, which I will come back to. Despite we are looking into this niche market, we are facing a blockbuster potential within this area. We have already delivered very strong phase 2 data with significant better healing results versus the standard of care proton pumps inhibitors. And now we are going to repeat that in the phase 3 program, and we are in the planning mode for that, to starting up that as soon as possible. We are not listed company yet, but despite that, we do have very strong investors and shareholders with good track record within the biotech sector, such as Trill Impact, Air Venture, Link, and also AP4. And they will, of course, support us in the next step here in the financing. Just going through the disease shortly, it's not so complicated. E-GERD is caused by the acid content in the stomach going in the wrong direction. Normally, it's a one-way system. Everything should go downwards, but due to the muscle, the sphincter muscle between the problem that you could cause that you have a muscle that doesn't work between the stomach and the esophagus, the content of the stomach goes in the wrong direction, and that causes erosions and symptoms. And the only way to stop this is to actually reduce the acid production in the stomach. And that you have managed to do that with the PPIs, the Losec and Nexium, but you have reached approximately 50% of what you actually need, especially for the severe patients. And with our drug, we now see the opportunity to actually deliver 100% acid control for these patients. So that is what we're going to talk about today. The company, the organization is very much based on the legacy from AstraZeneca. Either we have been part of the development of the proton pumps inhibitor or the commercialization of them globally. And also the substance originally is developed from Astra and AstraZeneca. But we have further developed it into a special prodrug, which actually prolong the duration and actually make it possible to optimize the acid control over 24 hours. And when we're talking about 24 hours, that is the key to success to heal patients with severe E-GERD, who has more or less an open wall between the stomach and the esophagus. So each time you have acid production, this acid content comes up in the esophagus and cause erosions and symptoms. And the correlation, if you turn off that acid production, you know that you will heal these patients. And that's the reason why we have focused so much on that. We are the only one, thanks to this product, that actually can deliver 24-hour acid control. And that in contrast to what we see with the PPIs and also the first generation of PCABs that has been launched mainly in Asia and specifically in Japan, but also now approved. The first PCAB generation is approved now in US since Christmas, just before Christmas, and will be launched by a company called Phathom Pharmaceuticals. But these first generation cannot deliver the 24-hour acid control. Just give you some example how it could look like when it comes to acid control. In the bottom here, you see the 24 hours. And then to the left, you see the pH, and you want to reach pH 4 and above that. And the longer time you are above, the better it is for the patients. And this is Losec, omeprazole, having 50% acid control over the 24 hours. 12 years after Losec came to the market, Astra launched Nexium with this incremental acid control, approximately 10% units better. And that was enough to reach market leadership and become one of the most sold drugs in the world, $7 billion in peak annual sales. And now, as I mentioned, we have come beyond the PPIs and the PCABs entering the market in Asia, and specifically in Japan, where we have seen Takeda launch the first PCAB, vonoprazan, in Japan. And you can see here, they have also an incremental benefit when it comes to acid control compared to the PPIs. And thanks to this, they have now become the market leader in Japan, the most sold drug in Japan in the end of 2021, with close to $1 billion in annual sales, only in Japan. But also here you can see they are dropping quite significantly in the second part of the 24 hours, and this is not the perfect curve for a severe EGERD patients. Our curve though looks like this. We reach pH 4 within 90 minutes, and we stay there the rest of the 24 hours period. And this is a great curve for a severe ill patient. And if you compare these two substances, linaprazan glurate, the green one, versus the blue one, vonoprazan, you can see that differ quite many hours nighttime here. And this is where we will have the battle in the future. You can see each hour you can save from having this acid production for the patient. That is of high value. You can, I mean, if you. So that will be important for the future to heal these patients. And also, if you compare this with the other PCABs that are developed in Asia, you can see that they have the same pattern as the vonoprazan here. The yellow and black one is the label, is the approved doses that you have in Asia, and the blue one is vonoprazan, is the approved doses for both in Asia but also in US. And they have one thing in common: the effect duration is too short. And actually, if you want to compensate that short effect duration, you need to increase the doses, and then you could run into side effects, which is the issue here. And now they are stuck with these doses then, obviously. And that is definitely in contrast to what we see with ours. And that, of course, will give us some clinical benefits in healing. Healing is the end point, the goal with these patients. You want to heal them, otherwise you could reach other complications like cancer in the long term. And the severe patient in our phase 2 study, the C and D patients that do have the greatest erosions, with the best cohort in this dose-finding study, we reached almost 90% healing of these patients already in 4 weeks, and compared to the standard of 8 weeks. And that should be and also we had an active comparator in lansoprazole, which is an ordinary PPI like omeprazole or Nexium. They had approximately a little bit less than 40% healing of these patients. So you can see the effect difference is almost a little bit more than 50% units, and that is fantastic, I would say. And we also wanted to quality check the comparator here, Lanso. So we actually investigated quite a lot what NICE, the British authorities, have done systematic reviews in this area. And their conclusion is that the lansoprazole should be approximately about 43% in healing. So you can see we are in the same range as for the PPIs also in our study. So it looks very promising. And also, if you looked at this in a comparison with the main competitor in the future, vonoprazan, which I mentioned, they also have used the same comparator, lansoprazole, and their effect difference, as you can see here, is approximately after 2 and 8 weeks, 18 to 20%. And that is not bad, but in contrast to our 52% is a huge difference. And this signals something about the potency in our drug and what we do, and thanks to this acid control, what you can actually deliver here. So, yes. Yep. Yes. No. As you said, 650 patients. We're talking about million patients that will take the drugs, the pharmaceuticals. Absolutely, they have the objectives. But what you see here is that, I mean, as you saw now, in Japan, for instance, I mean, we are talking about one drug selling for $1 billion US. So pharmaceuticals will always be the first line treatment before surgery. Of course, you can combine, but you will always test pharmaceutical first. And I'm not saying that implanting it could be a solution for some patients, but it will not be the volumes like you're talking about when it comes to pharmaceuticals. Just talking about the development we have done and the second generation we have now established, thanks to the prodrug, which is unique, and that gives us the opportunity to deliver this unique acid control close to 100%, which no one has done before, and that is, I mean, what everyone is aiming for, to reach as good acid control as possible, because everyone knows that is the that matter to heal these patients. So therefore we think, and what we already now see in the phase 2, that we will have extraordinary good healing effect on the severe patient, and we estimate that we will do it in the half time compared to standard, and that we will have superiority claims in healing versus PPIs and in symptom relief. So that is how we're going to differentiate this, and that is, of course, that we are working now for the phase 3 study. Just short about the population. Even though you niche the patient into the most severe patients, in the eGERD segment, we're talking about 10 million patients in Europe and US. And we are talking about price levels in US. And now we have a benchmark in vonoprazan in US, where if we put ourselves in parity with them, even though we have a better drug, we're talking about approximately $1,200 per healing cycle. And these patients are healed approximately 1 to 2 cycles per year. And then you can start calculate this. This only in US is a blockbuster potential. Commercially, we will have this laser focus on the severe patients, gives us also a specialty pharma strategy, so we can actually, because the specialists are the one that treating these severe patients, so you can have more of a specialist sales force, and that gives us good optionality, either working together with specialty pharma GI specialists both in Europe and US, but also there are some big pharma that's focusing on gastroenterology as well. Third option is that we do it ourselves, of course. That is an option as well. So that focus gives us good opportunities. We have now an approval to start up the phase 3 study in US. We have had the end of phase 2 meeting with FDA, and we have a roadmap how we will get this approved by FDA. And the first study of the phase 3, we're going to do 2 of them, will be initiated early next year with the first patient in, approximately 12 months before we can have the first readout from the first healing study. And that is, of course, of importance of a milestone. And then based on that, our ambition is to go together with the partners to starting up also the second phase 3 study. We will have many news coming up. In meanwhile, not only clinical studies, we are business development is ongoing, and we have interest, actually, I would say, from everywhere in the world. So that will happen. We have a Chinese partner already. They are a little bit ahead of us, and hopefully we will have an approval in China in the end of this year, and the launch thereafter. So many interesting things will happen. We have a good IP and data exclusivity, at least 10 years in US and Europe from approval of the drug. So that is the minimum, and then of course we have patents, alternatives also supporting it even further. So I think I stop there for questions.
Mm-hmm. That was my microphone, sorry. So first of all, Krista, thank you very much for this very nice presentation. And to start with, I would like to ask a question about what you mentioned now towards the end of your presentation, about the near-term milestones that you will see upcoming in the next 1 to 2 years, and before you will have your first top-line data readout from your first phase 3 study. So which triggers do you foresee for the company?
I mean, can go back to the timeline. Oh. I think, of course, the trigger will be starting up the studies and things like that. That is, of course, important milestones. And the big one is the readout of the healing in 2026. But meanwhile, all the business development that we have now ongoing, we have interest, in Europe, in US, South America, Middle East, South Korea, Japan. As I said, but we also have ongoing work has been done over the years in China. So we have already submitted, not we, but our partner in China, they have already submitted the application, and most likely we will have an approval in the end of this year. And the partner and the sub-licensing partner we have in China is Shanghai Pharma, and they are one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in China there. So they will take care of the launch, of course, and that is very interesting to follow and a good validation of the substance. On top of that, we are going to have many medical publications. We are working quite intensively with that. We will have new patents coming up. And of course, looking into the second phase 3 study that we will initiate. I mean, that could happen that we initiated it early, and that could also be a very interesting milestone, of course. But that is, we are looking into different alternatives here. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we will be very active as a company. So we will not just sit down and wait for the result of the healing.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks. My second question relates to your phase 3 program. So you will run two phase 3 studies.
Yes.
And my question here would be, what are the which phase 3 design decisions did you take, and what are the reasons behind these decisions that you have taken together with the FDA in your end of phase 2 meetings?
Well, I mean, we will need to have two studies. We need also to fulfill the safety database of number of patients. We will have, and these two studies need to confirm each other, so to say, So the main endpoint is non-inferiority, but we will power the study so we can deliver what I just mentioned when it comes to superiority claim versus PPIs on the severe patients for healing, symptom relief, and that we should do it in 4 weeks instead of 8 weeks. So that is the main aim, to show this superiority claim, and that will be unique. No one has these kind of claims today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. And as we have discussed, as you have mentioned also already, Pharmaceuticals in the US will be a very important peer for Cinclus. Yeah. And I would like to hear from you if you could discuss the differentiating factors between the Pharma in the US, which is also listed in the US, and Cinclus in terms of commercialization approach of the drug and in terms of corporate strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, of course, Fathom, now they just recently have the product approved. They have had a little bit of a bumpy journey, though. They are in-licensed this product from Takeda with a quite high royalty payments. But the difference, what we can see, is that we will have a laser focus on the severe patients. We will have a specialty pharma approach. And what you can see, in contrast to what Pharma are doing, it seems like they are having a much broader approach, a little bit like Takeda in Japan, where they go to all patients with all severity of eGERD, but also all patients when it comes to only the symptomatic population. And that is, it could be an interesting, but that was successfully by Takeda, and that was how we did it in AstraZeneca when we launched Nexium. But I would say that is a big pharma strategy, and you need most likely to become a big pharma to manage to do that. I hope that they will manage, but I think that is the discussions that we have seen within investors. I mean, will they manage this with this kind of small company? I mean, they have built everything from the beginning. They have one product, and they have an organic growth of the organization. So that will be a challenge, of course, but it looks promising now. They are catching up, and it looks start to get. But I think that is the reason why they have so low valuation. They should have much higher valuation at this stage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very nice. And a related question also, when it comes to the US market, how do you see a potential licensing deal or potentially a co-commercialization or a co-promotion deal? Where do you see the opportunities, and how would such a deal structure for the commercialization of linaprazan glurate in the US look like?
Yeah. Remember, I mean, we have discussions with all the specialty pharma companies in US and Europe, and we have also discussion with some of the big pharmas. But in US, we want to wait until we have this readout of the phase 3 before, because that is the real value inflection point. Rest of the world, we can have license deals before, but in US we will wait definitely, because that is the I mean, the company value here is, vast majority is from US markets. So that is something that we will look into. And yeah, then we will see, of course, how a deal look like when it comes to the US rights.
And when it comes to partnering for the commercialization, I mean, both in the US and Europe, and also the rest of the world, ex-Asia, when you look at peers, like at which kind of value range do we look at for such potential partnering deals, and how would such a deal be designed? So, like, is it a typical biotech deal, such as like upfront milestone and royalty payments?
It will be a classic setup, I would say, both down payment milestones, regulatory milestones, and sales milestones, plus a decent royalty percentage. So it will be, I mean, when it comes to this, it will be definitely like that.
Okay, nice. Great. Then thank you very much, Christoph, for coming here today. Okay. And with that, we close the presentation for today. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much. Thank you.